So, thank you everyone for having me today. I'm sorry about the stuff up with the booking, but these things happen, and obviously with Mick up in Cairns, it's a lot more important for him to be up there with the family, so all good. You can hear from two speakers today. I'm Lynn Gear. I belong to View Clubs of Australia, which is part of the Smith family. I belong to the Greensborough View Club when we meet at the Heidelberg Golf Club at Lower Plenty. Yes, that's right. View Clubs was started by the Smith family just over 60 years ago in Sydney when women weren't allowed into Apex, Lions, Rotary, all those sorts of clubs. And the secretary of the Smith family in Sydney at the time, who was a fella, felt that women should have an opportunity to have a voice, so he started View Clubs in Sydney and New South Wales, and then we've been in Victoria just over 30 years. So it's a really good organisation around Australia-wide. I am a volunteer with the Smith family. I do these sorts of talks to Probuses, Apex, Lions, or Apex, do they still exist? I don't know, Lions clubs, schools, anyone will listen to us. So we have about 10 of us who go around the state doing this, and I also volunteer at the office in Queen Street, Melbourne on a Friday, doing whatever's needed. And, you know, I think I really enjoy it because you know you're making a difference to people's lives. So that's what the Smith family is all about. But just before I start, I'd just like to share, we get a lot of things from children at Christmas time especially, or during the year, but this was one young lady's Christmas list. And her list was, I would like a book and my mum back so we can read it together, pens and colouring books for my little brothers, something fun to make my nana smile, and a magic potion to make me smarter so I can be good at school again. And that's sort of indicative, I suppose, of the things that kids think about. We've all got different lives and dramas in our lives, but, you know, children that are on the Smith family program are there because their families are living in disadvantage, and it's not they didn't cause it, but that's the situation they're in. So I'll just tell you, Smith family turned 100 a couple of years ago. Been around a long time, and as you'll see in the next slide, founded by 5 businessmen in 1922 in Sydney, and they were having a drink at Christmas and talking about what they were going to give their kids for Christmas, and so they went and did a bit of a research as to what sort of poverty was around Sydney, and they found it was quite a lot of poverty. So they went and bought some toys and took them to the Carlingford Boys Home and distributed them out to the boys there. And the matron said to one of them, "What's your name?" so the children can say thank you. And he said, "My name's Smith." And the next one said, "My name's Smith," etc., etc. So that's how the Smith family started all those years ago. Then over the years we've changed. We did a lot of work during the Depression helping people, Cyclone Tracy, refugees, and we had an office down in Collingwood, and it was set up. It had big fitting rooms in it, it had clothing, it had vouchers for electricity or food or whatever was needed. It was a handout place, if you like. And there would be queues out the front waiting to get in there for people coming in looking for whatever they needed in way of assistance. But it was the same families generation after generation coming in. It wasn't breaking that cycle. And so, you know, the family said we need to educate our children so as they can go to school, go to uni and have a proper life and be able to support themselves. So in the late 1980s, early 1990s, we changed our focus, and now we focus completely on education. We don't have any welfare. If someone rings the Smith family, you know, wanting socks and jocks or whatever it is, we refer them to the relevant agency. But the Smith family is completely focused on helping children get their education. So this is who we are. A world where every child has the opportunity to change their future. And I think, you know, the little girl that I read you the thing about, she just wants to do good at school. And that's what it's all about in a lot of cases. But because they're not wearing the same uniform, or they don't have a school bag or a laptop or the school books, they don't have the ability to make those moves in life. To overcome educational inequality caused by poverty is our purpose, and that's what we work towards every day. And Nelson Mandela said education is one of the most powerful, he didn't use the word change agents, but he meant that. So, you know, it is critical that we educate children and give them a chance. Oops. So, as I said, we deliver long-term educational support, because if you don't, this is the cycle of disadvantage, and it just keeps going. You start off with low-income families, poor educational outcomes for children because the kids won't go to school because they've got no shoes, or they haven't got the uniform or the books or whatever it is. Then they can't get a job when they get to that age, and then they have poorer life outcomes, and the cycle just keeps going and going. And that's what we're all about breaking. Just a few stats, just let me have a look here. So, it's at the moment it's only 1.2 million children and young people live in poverty around Australia. I think that's 1 in 6, and it's a bit frightening really. All live in low income families. More than half live in a single parent family, with 6% living with another relative or in foster care. It is really amazing how many grandparents are looking after their grandchildren and have their grandchildren living with them. Around 40% of students and 50% of their parents and carers have a health or disability issue. Around 60% have a parent or carer who didn't finish Year 12. More than 70% of students have a parent or carer not in paid employment. And 1 in 5 students in Years 5 to 12 have already attended more than 5 or 4 or more schools. 3 in 10 Learning for Life families or children do not have a computer or tablet connected to the internet. So if you think about what school means to a lot of kids now, they do need the internet, and without that, they really struggle. So this is what happens at each period of their life. You know, they start off, they're behind, they haven't been able to read books at home because there's no books, and there's no one there providing that role model and stimulation for them. So they just keep going, but it doesn't happen for them. So this is where we're trying to grab them very early and get them into the Learning for Life program, which I'll explain to you, and see them through their school years. So just a few stats there. 57% of Year 5 parents, just 57% of Year 5 students whose parents have not completed Year 12 surpass the national numeracy standard for the year level. And then if the parents do have a uni qualification, it's 94%. So a huge difference there. The cost to the community for each early school leaver, so they're kids that are, going to go on, I don't know what the latest Centrelink thing's called, but it's about, over their lifetimes, about $1 million. So if you can get the children educated, around 49% of 24-year-olds from the most disadvantaged backgrounds are not fully engaged in work or study, compared to 18% of those from advantaged backgrounds. So what do we do about it? We've got this program called Learning for Life, and it's about helping children reach their potential. So it's 3 components. First of all, families get paid. This is going to fall off me. Here we go. Help! Thank you, that's better. It feels going to stay. So first of all, twice a year families are given a payment, once in January and the other one in June, and that's to enable them to buy school essentials. And when I'm working at the Smith family in January, families are ringing up saying, when's the payment coming? It's paid into their bank account because they need to go and buy shoes or stuff for the children to start the school year. So there's that payment twice a year. And then they have access to programs from early years to tertiary level, and I'll talk about them in a minute. And it's a relationship with the Family Partnership Coordinator. So it's not just about giving families money. Money on its own isn't the answer. They need support. The Family Partnership Coordinator, who is a Smith family employee, works with the families to make sure the children go to school in the morning. No one wants to sponsor children that are home in bed because they can't be bothered getting up, or mum and dad don't kick them out and give them breakfast and send them on their way to school. Or if there's something wrong at home and the kid doesn't want to go to school, well, we need to work around that and have the children going to school. So they're the 3 components of our Learning for Life program. So when families go onto the program, they sign an agreement. So it's not just about saying, we will provide you with this and you'll sit at home and do nothing. You will commit to sending your children to school. You'll provide a copy of the school report each year, and that shows the attendance, it shows how the child's doing. You'll work with us to make sure that the children maximise the use of the Learning for Life. They'll go to the extra programs that are available, etc. And the partnership is reviewed, I think, every few years, and they have to keep receipts for all the things that they buy. They used to send them in, but we get the mail each day, and you'd open the mail and there'd be Kmart receipts and Officeworks, and there'd be receipts all over the place. Now they have to keep them, and they're audited on a basis so as to make sure they don't spend it down the pub or at Liquorland or wherever, that it is being used for the children's education. This is how the funds are allocated. So the $478 a school student is up to year 9, and then after that you can see senior school, and then we go on for uni students. So the $478 is paid to the parents in the case of the school students. The $394 goes towards paying for the Learning for Life coordinator and the programs. Up the end is $448. So this is all, we have sponsorships, which I'll talk to you about as I go through, but this is how the money is allocated to each child's education. And you can see tertiary students, they get $3,000 a year. That really makes a difference to them being able to, quite a lot of them use it for transport to get to their uni because they haven't got any way of getting there, or obviously for their course notes, etc., etc. So, we've got a big strategy over the next 5 years. We currently have about 60,000, I'll come to that somewhere. We sponsor about 60,000 students at the moment, and we want to have that to 100,000 by 2027. So it's a lot of work happening, and we're working hard to achieve that. So the approach is working. The Smith family trials things. They don't just launch in and do it. They have a trial to make sure it's going to work, and then they implement it. So everything that we do is worked with. So here's, at the moment, we've got just over 60,000 on sponsorships across Australia. And there you'll see the breakdown of the students. About similar number of primary and secondary. There's about 1,700 tertiary. And then this one up here, the programs, is, I'll show you where the Smith family is located in a minute, but that shows if you are in a school or area where the Smith family is, you can also, students in that school can also participate in the programs like Let's Read and Let's Count, so other students benefit from it as well. So this is where we are, or how many places we've got around Australia. As you can see, we're nationwide. National office is in Sydney, Victorian office, head office is in Queen Street, just near Flinders Lane there. And in Victoria, this is where we are. So each of these offices has at least 2 Learning for Life coordinators who look after the families and the children. They have a program coordinator who looks after all the programs that run in the area. And quite often they're based in the schools in the area. And they work with the families in that area. I'll often go to places and they'll say, you know, and I'll use Greensborough because I live in Greensborough, so I can pick on that. But, you know, someone might say, well, we live in Greensborough and we've got kids that need this. Why aren't you out in Greensborough? We can't be everywhere. It costs a lot of money to set up and maintain, and these places were chosen based on the research that's done for the most needy areas. The Frankston office, which is the latest one to open, it's been open 3 or 4 years now, was fortunately paid for by a philanthropist down in Frankston. He gave a few million to set up the office and to run it for, I'm not sure how long it is, but he's set it up and has provided some funds for ongoing running, so that was really fortunate. This was the problem, the glasses. Okay. Okay. So in Victoria, there's about 14,000 students across Victoria. So you can see there we partner with 117 schools. So in Frankston's, for instance, they have maybe the offices, I know which school it's in, I can see it, but I can't remember the name of it. And they would work in there, and then they would draw the students from the schools in the area that they have a partnership with. You need to go to school in the area where the Smith family is, because, as I said, it's not just about giving money, it's about having that support wrap around so as the children get all the benefits of the program. If you're just giving you money, it doesn't, you know, you might get new shoes, but it's not about teaching you to read, write, have access to all of the programs that we have. So these are the programs that we run. So in the early years, we have Let's Count and Let's Read. So they're run when the mums or dads or whoever takes the child to, they used to call them health centres in my day, I don't know what they're called now, early childhood, I don't know what they're called, but when you go to have the child weighed and all that sort of jazz, they have the Let's Read and the Let's Count programs. And so what's that about is there are many houses there don't have books for children to read in them. So the family is given a package that has some books inappropriate to the age of the child, and then I think it's every 6 or 9 months they're given an updated package. And some guidelines, like turn the tally off, let the child turn the page, sit the child on your knee, and we all know, the kids used to say, read it again, Grandma, read it again, Grandma. So you go through all that with them, and it's a way, not teaching them how to read, but just getting them used to books. So as when they go to school, they know what a book is all about. And I guess for us, you think, well, I had books at home, I was a bit of a bookworm, but there are many, many houses that don't have that. Let's Read is fairly similar, how many red cars or how many orange apples and all those sorts of things that they teach them about. Then in primary years, we've got them learning clubs. There are many homes where parents just do not have the capability to help children with their homework. And at learning clubs that the children go to after school, they have computers. They have people there helping them with their maths or English or whatever homework it is that they've got to do. So as next morning when they go to school, they've got the tick, they've done their homework, they've used the computer, and they're the same as the other kids in the grade, which is what it's all about. Then we've got, in secondary years, we have things like iTrack. Year 9 students, they jump on the internet for about 14 weeks, I think, of a school term, and they're matched up with a mentor, a buddy, and they will chat on the keyboard, and we actually look at those conversations because they're not allowed to share their emails or their phone number or anything like that. They're done out of the school, it's part of their school program. And they start off and, they tiptoe around a little bit at the start of it, but they get to know each other. They'll talk about what sports and, what do you want to do, etc. And then the mentor will get down to the nitty-gritty and ask about what subjects they might like to do or what they like to do with when they leave school or university. So the mentor will Google all sorts of links for them and send them links on maybe some appropriate training they could do or some courses that they might like to do, or just help guide them in the right direction. And when I've been checking them in at the office, they're really good because it just opens the child's eyes to what's available, because as I said, at home they may have a parent who has no idea where to even start if they're looking for, if they want to become a vet or something like that. Some people just do not know where to start. So the iTrack program is really successful there. After school and they go to uni, they have what's called a tertiary mentor, and this is a person. So if I said I want to be a vet, I would be matched up with that vet, and we would actually meet, and I would know who that vet was, and they would help me. They might organise some work experience. They would certainly help me with what courses and my bookwork and all that sort of stuff. So that's a relationship that goes on through the tertiary years. And when the student graduates, the mentor usually goes to the graduation ceremony, and it's a great moment for both of them. The mentor is really proud that they've had some contribution in the child's life, and and their graduation, along with mum and dad, who's usually there crying because the student's the first one in their family to have gone to university. Another one we've got is cadetship to careers. We're very fortunate to have a number of companies who provide cadetships for students, and it's really helpful for them to go and have a try out at these businesses to make sure that's really what they want to do. So this was just after COVID. I think during COVID the Smith family did really well. It was acknowledged how important it was for the children to continue their education, but they weren't going to school, and as I mentioned, a lot of them didn't have internet or that. We had a lady in Shepparton who had a mobile phone with a cracked screen and 5 children at school. How was she going to do? How are they going to do their schoolwork? So they were kitted out with computers and that, as were a lot of other students. It was a nightmare trying to get the services to them. As well as the equipment, we had to get the internet to them as well. So I think it was Suncorp propped up the money to give them internet access as well. So it was a very big couple of years there. Yeah, so at the moment we've got about 210, maybe a few more sponsors. Our View Club, for instance, sponsors 7 or 8 children. It's really great. You get them in primary school, and then we correspond with each other all the way through their school life, and you can see the improvement with them, and they just think it's terrific that someone that they don't know, that they'll never meet, has taken an interest in them, that cares about them, that sends them a birthday voucher or a Christmas voucher, and just supports and encourages them along the way. We have lots of good partners. We wouldn't be able to survive without all these people, and they do a variety of things. You know, Officeworks, you'll have seen the Back to School campaign. ANZ has the Saver Plus program, which is where families can save up to $500 in a period, I think it's 8 or 10 months, and then the ANZ Bank will match that, and they have to use it for education-related expenses. And that's been a really good tool for people, and you hear a lot of parents say we still have that saving habit. So it's about creating that habit, and then they got the funds matched for them. A lot of these would provide work experiences, facilities for the children, a whole range of things. They might fund one of the programs, etc., etc. There's lots of volunteers in the Smith family. In fact, I think there's more than that now. There is more than that now, but the Smith family couldn't survive. I think it has about 1,000 employees Australia-wide, and it has a lot more volunteers, so we do all sorts of things. Eric here, I'll just quickly, am I going all right for time? Eric's story, just quickly. My family came to Australia from El Salvador in 1992. My parents left everything to give us better opportunities. When we arrived, we didn't have much. I was supported by the Smith family throughout my entire schooling. They provided assistance for uniforms, excursions and books. What the Smith family did for my family was incredible. When I finished school in 2005, support from the Smith family ended. I became a financial supporter because I was just so grateful. I put my hand up for any volunteering assistance they needed, and I became part of the iTrack mentoring program. And now I'm part of a group of former students who speak to fundraising partners, View Clubs and schools. The Smith family set an example for me to help others. Their donors and financial supporters don't have to do that, but they do. That example made it so much easier for me to do the iTrack program. feels good to give back, but also to know that maybe someone else will feel the same way as I do, and maybe they're able to help assist 10 times as much as I can. I'm a big believer in education. Because the Smith family supported my brothers and I to get through school, none of us now need that support. They've allowed us to break that cycle needing the Smith family. All the Smith family donations and volunteering do actually make a difference in Australians' lives. I know Eric, he's a great guy, and I have to admit the first time I heard his story I was crying my eyes out, but he's now got a successful business, a couple of kids, and he's just so proud of where he's got as a family. View clubs, as I mentioned, we sponsor now, I think it's about 1,700 students Australia-wide. And View Club members do lots of work in the community. I'm not going to read all these, but you know, we hear really good feedback from the parents when they tell us what a difference the equaling the child, if you like, in the school makes to them. Yeah, usually it's about the lifting them up that makes a difference, and just giving them that confidence. So let's create a world where every child has the opportunity to change their future. That's what we're about. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
About the Smith family?
You mentioned you had, what percent of Indigenous Australian?
Oh, yes, I can tell you that if you give me one moment. There's quite a big Indigenous community down at Bairnsdale.
I think it might have been something like 20% overall.
Yeah, I think it probably is something like that.
How can that be? You have to have a slightly different approach when you've got an Indigenous group than, say, another ways.
So just let me explain a different approach there. I can get the number for you after, but down at Bairnsdale, just talking about the different approach, they have what's called Girls at the Centre. That's a room in the Bairnsdale Secondary College. And it's set up with a microwave and tea and coffee and all that jazz, and I forget what else is there, but things that young students need, but they're not allowed to go in there unless they go to school. It's a bit like they have the similar program where the boys over in Western Australia aren't allowed to play football unless they go to school. So their attendance rate has to be, 95 or whatever it is. And they go there, they go to school, and then they go and have their coffee and chat and all that jazz. The ladies at the Bairnsdale View Club support those students at that school, the girls. They provide a lot of sanitary products, female products, deodorants, makeup, hair stuff, whatever. And so all of that package helps the children stay at school. And that's the sort of things, and every area, you're right, is different cultures, out west, right out west, there's a different sort of culture, so you have to adapt to whatever area you're working
in. Any other questions, guys? Pretty straightforward. Okay, Lynn, thank you. I think what Lynn's saying to us is that this is an important community organisation supporting our young people, and we should support it. We might not be up to volunteering at our stage of life, but if we're not up to volunteering, we might be able to write out a cheque occasionally.
Thank you, that'd be lovely and much appreciated. There is a lady who volunteers at the Smith family with me. She's 90 next year. She's been volunteering at the Smith family for 29 years.
That's right.
So it's good. I've got some brochures here which I'll put out. You can help yourself to after.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.